Hollywood star David Carver was searching for original Nazi-era items for his World War II film when he encountered Leo Goldstein, an elderly shop owner. When the man saw David's film script, he said, "This is not how it happened at all." And when he began telling the real story, David's entire film would change. In his luxury studio apartment in New York, David Carver was studying World War II photographs, books, and his film script spread across the table. At 34 years old, David was one of Hollywood's most meticulous method actors. He spent months preparing for each role, completely immersing himself in the character. This time the role was even more challenging. SS Oberfuhrer Klaus Weber. Playing a Nazi officer was never easy, but The Last Train was an important Holocaust drama. David had to portray this character correctly. This role could be the turning point of my career, David thought as he flipped through the script pages. Director Martin Scorsese's project told the story of a Jewish family trying to escape from Auschwitz. The Nazi officer David would portray was the main antagonist. The phone rang. It was costume designer Jennifer. "David, I need to find original Nazi uniforms. Hollywood costumes won't be enough. We need authentic pieces." "I'll handle it," said David. "There are old antique shops in Brooklyn. I can find original pieces." As part of method acting, David wanted to completely embody his character. Working with authentic period pieces would help him. The next day, David was wandering through Brooklyn's old neighborhoods. This area had many antique shops dating back to the 1940s. In Williamsburg, a small old shop caught his attention. Goldstein and Son Antiques, since 1923. The shop interior was dark and filled with old items. Radios, clocks, furniture, old photographs. Everything was like layers of history. Behind the counter sat an elderly man. He appeared to be 91 years old, thin and frail. He looked at David through his glasses. "How can I help you?" "Hello, I'm David Carver. I'm looking for original items from the 1940s, specifically from the German military period." The old man's face changed. "I'm Leo Goldstein. What kind of German items?" David pulled his film script from his bag. "For a movie. World War II period. I'm going to play a Nazi officer." Leo took the script and flipped through the pages. His face grew increasingly tense. "What is this?" Leo asked, pointing to the pages. "Film screenplay. The Last Train, an escape story from Auschwitz." Leo shook his head. "This is not how it happened at all." "What do you mean it didn't happen like this?" David asked. Leo stood up and returned the script to David. "You're an actor, you know. But this," he said, pointing to the script, "this is Hollywood fantasy." David was surprised, but historians consulted on it. Research was done. Leo gave a bitter smile. "Research? Have you seen the real Auschwitz?" "No, but I saw it. I lived it." Leo rolled up his sleeve. On his pale skin were faint but visible numbers. 174517. David held his breath. Leo was a Holocaust survivor. "Do you understand now?" Leo said. "This story in the screenplay doesn't reflect the truth." David stood silently. This was an unexpected encounter. "Tell me," David said quietly. "Tell me the truth." Leo closed his eyes as if returning to the past. "In 1943, I was 18 years old. We lived in Warsaw as a family. My father ran this shop. Back then it was called Goldstein Antiquities." Leo showed an old photo of the shop. A young man, his wife and small children, a happy family. "In November 1943, they took us. They sent us to Auschwitz in cattle cars. 80 people in one wagon, 3 days of travel. People died in the wagons." David's heart raced. This was real, not fiction. At Auschwitz, there was a selection. Those who went right went to the work camp. Those who went left. Leo fell into silence. "My mother and father went left. I went right. I never saw them again." David tried to close his eyes, but Leo continued. "The camp was nothing like what you wrote in the screenplay. There's no escape there, David. There's only survival." "Look at what's written in the screenplay," Leo said, taking the script again. "The Nazi officers are shown as humane. Some are portrayed as conscientious." David nodded. "For character depth." "No," Leo said in a definitive tone. "This is wrong. SS officers were like monsters. None of them had mercy. Leo went to the back of the shop and brought out an old box. Look, this is a real SS uniform from 1944. The uniform that came out of the box frightened David. There were still bloodstains on it. I know what those who wore this uniform did, David, because I saw it with my own eyes. Leo's voice was trembling. In your film, the Nazi officer is a complex character. In reality, they were just evil. They had no humanity. David was shaken by these words. The screenplay has escape scenes, families escaping together. This is also wrong. Why? Because families were already separated. On the first day, children, elderly were killed immediately. Only those who could work remained. David reread the script. What Leo said was true. The film seemed too romantic. So how did you survive? Leo took a deep breath. I didn't survive. I stayed alive. That's very different. What do you mean? When Russian soldiers came in 1945, I was a 35-kilogram skeleton. I was about to die from typhus. They took me to the hospital. Leo showed an old photograph. A young man who was nothing but bones. This is me. Liberation Day. David felt nauseous looking at the photo. I stayed in the hospital for 6 months. Then I came to America. I reopened this shop. 78 years have passed, but I still have nightmares. David listened in silence. Your film can't show this pain, David. All these films are the same. They make the Holocaust a dramatic story, but the reality is much more horrible. So what should I do? Should I withdraw from the role? Leo shook his head. No, but you must do it right. How? You must tell the truth. Get rid of this humane Nazi nonsense in this screenplay. They were like monsters. Leo leaned toward David. If you're going to play this role, you must know the truth. The Holocaust is not entertainment, David. This is the darkest period in human history, David thought. Leo was right. There were many historical errors in the screenplay. I have a proposal for you, David said. Would you be a consultant for the film? Let's make the screenplay accurate. Leo was surprised. I'm 91 years old. But you're a real witness. We can prevent Hollywood from showing the Holocaust incorrectly. Leo thought for a long time. Okay, but I have one condition. What is it? Everything will be realistic. No embellishment, no romanticization. Only the painful truth. Weeks later, Leo visited the film set. David showed him around the studio. Director Martin Scorsese was very excited when he met Leo. Mr. Goldstein, it's an honor to work with you, but changing the screenplay will be difficult. Why? Leo asked. Because it will be too dark. The audience might be uncomfortable. Leo looked sternly. The Holocaust is already disturbing. If you want a comfortable film, choose another subject. Scorsese thought. Okay, let's rewrite the screenplay. Over the following months, Leo worked with the production team. Every page of the screenplay was reviewed. It's written here, Nazi officer thinks about his family, Leo said in one scene. This is wrong. They only thought about killing. David was completely reconstructing his role. Now his character was more realistic, more terrifying but more accurate. This Nazi officer will be ruthless, David said. He won't show any mercy. Correct, Leo said, because that's how the reality was. Leo also influenced the costumes, sets, and even how the scenes were shot. The camp looks too clean, he said one day on set. Real camps were like hell. Filth, disease, the smell of death. The production team redesigned everything. When filming began, David gave a completely different performance. What Leo had told him had deeply affected him. He was so realistic in his Nazi officer role that other actors were also uncomfortable. David is very good, Martin said. He's like a real Nazi. But David was going through difficult days. Portraying such an evil character was mentally exhausting. Leo noticed this. David, you're a good person. This is just a role. I know, but it feels so real. Because it has to be real. People need to know the truth. When it came time to shoot the escape scene, Leo cried on set. This scene is exactly right, he said through tears. This is how it really was. David was also affected. Seeing Leo's pain reminded him of how difficult days he had lived through. Leo, how could you endure these things? I didn't endure, Leo said. I just stayed alive. That's very different. So how do you feel now? Does this film show the truth? Leo nodded. Yes, for the first time, a Hollywood film is showing the truth. When The Last Train was released, it received a huge response. Critics wrote that the film was too harsh, but also noted that it was perfect in terms of historical accuracy. David's performance was nominated for an Oscar, but at the award ceremony, he dedicated his speech to Leo. This film wouldn't have been possible without Leo Goldstein. He taught us the truth. Leo sat in the front row, smiling proudly. The film began to be used for Holocaust education. Many schools and museums were showing scenes from the film. After filming ended, David and Leo became close friends. David frequently visited the shop, listening to Leo's other stories. David, you're not just an actor, Leo said one day. You're a guardian of history. How do you mean? Because you tell the truth through your art. Those who live like me are decreasing. Artists like you will keep our stories alive. David felt the responsibility of this. Leo, working with you changed my life. Mine too. You brought my story to millions of people. A year later, Leo became ill. David visited every day. David, Leo said from his hospital bed, can you promise me something? What is it, Leo? Keep making Holocaust films, but always tell the truth. Never romanticize it. I promise, Leo smiled. Now I'm at peace. My story is safe. Leo passed away a few months later. At his funeral, David read the eulogy. Leo Goldstein wasn't just a Holocaust survivor, he was also a guardian of truth. Thanks to him, history will be told correctly. From that day on, David completely changed his career. He only took roles in films of historical importance. And in every project, he asked the question, is this realistic? Leo's shop is now the Goldstein Memory Center. David converted it into a Holocaust education center. This story teaches us, art is not just entertainment. Art also carries the responsibility of telling the truth. Especially in historical subjects, respect for accuracy is mandatory. David had gone to that antique shop to look for costumes. But when he left there, he had found something much more valuable, the value of truth. And Leo's story would live forever through David's art. If this story awakens something in you too, remember, history is not just things written in books. History consists of the stories of living people. And respecting these stories is all of our responsibility. Because telling the truth is not only respect for the past, but also protecting the future.